Hello, thank you for joining. This is the Recreational F&I Success Training Session, setting your goals and achieving them with the process. My name is Merle Shaw. I'm the COO of Dealer Profit Services. Today, what we're going to look at is defining F&I success, setting F&I goals, a few words from a couple of experts that we have, David Parker and Terry Shabesta. The takeaway on goal setting, defining your F&I process. Again, the whole F&I process takeaway and some final thoughts. As you set goals, you need to ensure that they are specific, that they're measurable, that they're achievable, that they're realistic, and that they're timely. By setting goals with these criteria in mind, you set yourself up for great F&I success. So what is F&I success? Well, the first thing is continual improvement, which means hopefully you're making more F&I profit tomorrow than you made today, and you continue that going forward. You would like ideally to be doing 8% or better F&I profit on the amount financed. You want to be doing 4% or better F&I net profit on unit sales. That is F&I net profit. So after all F&I expenses. You need to be achieving at least a 65% penetration rate on protective products. And finally, your sales team and your finance team are working together to ensure that you have 100% turnover. 100% of your customers see your finance manager or your business manager or your delivery coordinator 100% of the time. And through that, every customer receives the opportunity, even if they're paying cash or say they are, to convert to finance. But they also get the full presentation on relevant protective products. So the first thing about setting goals that's important to realize is that the simple act of measuring improves performance. Once you and your team know that their activities and their results are being measured, performance goes up. You need to keep your goals simple. This is not rocket science. Everybody needs to know what the goals are. They need to be clear. They need to be easily measured. The goals have to be unambiguous, and the measurements have to be clear. Ensure that your goals are achievable and not impossible. Now, this implies that you may reset goals once you've gotten good at achieving the goals that you have. But setting goals that are unattainable at the outset is a recipe for failure. It may take several steps to achieve the ultimate goal. If you're only doing 5% F&I profit on amount financed today, 8% may seem like a mountain that's just too high. So set your goal at 6.5%, and then 7%, and then move it to 8%. Once your team has the practice and has developed the skills to be delivering those kind of results. Finally, ensure that the goals are relevant, timely. You won't sell as much in the off season as you will in the full season. So make sure that your goals are relevant to what's happening now in your store. Here are some thoughts from David Parker. I've had the opportunity to interview some industry-leading experts, and I'm sharing some of that with you today. Now, to be clear, David Parker spends a lot more time in the marine industry than he does the RV industry. But this particular section of my interview is highly relevant regardless of the industry.
I kind of see continual improvement. I kind of think of it a little different than the goal setting. I see them a little bit different. On the continual improvement, the thought comes to mind is that quote, I believe it was Zig Ziglar that made this statement. The only thing worse than training somebody and having them leave is not training them and they stay. So, I'm a big proponent of training, and there's lots of great areas and companies that you can get training from. Certainly our 20 groups are one of them, but they're not the last word. They're just a piece of the overall components. There's also a matrix that I use with my dealers called the 4 modes of business. And these are the attitudes, the 4 attitudes that we find with people really, it's not only just in business, it's in life generally. And the 4 modes are the growth mode, the even-keeled mode, the growth mode, the trouble mode, the even-keeled mode, and the know-it-all mode. Now, the growth mode, their motto is constant and never-ending improvement. And these are the ones that are going to be training and always finding a better way to do something, because there always is a better way to do something. And what you did today, tomorrow, there's going to be something better out there. It's just always, it's dynamic and it's always changing. Now, the trouble mode, these people are in trouble. They know it, and they're teachable. Both the growth mode and the trouble mode are teachable. Then you get to the even keel. Their motto is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, folks, if you're coasting, which is what they're doing, you're going to end up in trouble. You're just coasting into trouble. And then the know-it-all mode, that kind of says it all. I know it all anyway. You can't teach me anything. And then the interesting thing to me is most of the people that I know in the know-it-all mode are in trouble and don't know it. They're the factory heroes, and they sell boats all over the country. They don't make very much money. They get the big $35 plaque every year at the dealer meetings, and they don't have any money to show for it. They're not making any money, and what good is that? And to me, also, a successful business is half of a successful business is having a great bottom line. And in my clients, our minimum target for my clients is a 5% net. 5% of total company sales is your net profit pre-tax. And we're shooting for a 10% net. It's interesting, there's a whole bunch of those out there right now. This has been a...
So what are the takeaways? And I thought David Parker's comments were extremely relevant. So the first thing is you can't manage what you can't measure. So you have measurable goals and targets. And you hold your sales and your finance team accountable. And remember that through all of this, finance is helping your customers enter or continue a lifestyle. So the entire experience needs to be delightful. The goals are not achieved overnight, or if they were far too easy. So the first goal is 4% plus F&I net profit on unit sales. 7.5% to 8% net profit on the amount financed. 65% or better penetration on protective products. And 100% turnover. 100% of the customers see the finance department 100% of the time and hear about 100% of the relevant products every single time. Stay in growth mode that David Parker was telling about. Don't go even keel. Don't go know-it-all. If you're in trouble, admit it, look for help. Demonstrate continual improvement and stay in growth mode. So you have your goals, you have your targets. And believe me when I say that delivering 4% net profit from F&I to your bottom line will change your business. These SMART goals, simple, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely, make the difference. And measurement matters a lot. Remember, the simple act of measuring changes the behavior and it improves performance. But stay hungry and seek continual improvement. When you hit your targets, it's time to move the goalposts and start over again. Now, in order to achieve the success that you're looking for in F&I, you need a well-defined process. I'm often amused by this little exchange from Alice in Wonderland, where Alice was kind of lost in the woods and she saw the Cheshire Cat and said, "Would you tell me which way I should go from here?" And the cat says, "That depends a good deal on where you want to get to." "I don't much care," said Alice. "Then it doesn't matter which way you go." Well, now, as we've just talked about, you have your goals. You know which way you want to go. And so now the path really matters. And you need a clearly defined, replicable, trainable process for achieving your goals. Here are the tips for a successful process for goal attainment. First, the F&I process actually starts at first contact with your customer. Now, when I say first contact, maybe that's a radio ad, maybe it's a TV ad, maybe it's a print ad, maybe it's a customer driving by and just looking at your lot. If you're not letting that customer know from the very outset that you have competitive financing available, you're missing your mark. Customers don't assume that you have financing. And if they think they're going to come in and try to purchase something and not get the financing from you, they'll shop ahead of time. And you lose the opportunity for financing at that point. Let customers know competitive financing available. Make the process great. There are some fantastic technologies out there, and we're going to hear from Terry Shabesta, who created these technologies, in just a little bit. But there's Get Pre-Qualified, which is a soft pull, just name, address, phone number, and email address, and you know what that customer is qualified for. Beyond that, there's Shop by Payment technology. Customers know their budgets. They know what payment they want to be making. So wouldn't it be great if right from the outset, you could tell them, "Tell me your payment or your payment range, and I'll show you the inventory first that matches or comes close to that." What a great experience. And now you're not wasting your time or your customer's time by showing them a $150,000 unit when they're only qualified for a $75,000 unit. That just leads to disappointment and embarrassment. So make the experience great. Use these available technologies. From the beginning, talk payments, never prices. Right from the outset. If you have signs on your units, make sure that those signs show the payment. You don't have to show the price. You simply have to be consistent and use an interest rate and a term that is fair, reasonable, and achievable by the average individual. You can't create a payment that's based on something that only the top 5% of customers will qualify for. But show that payment. Have the customer thinking about, "Oh, I can afford this." Sales should highlight all the available protective products. There should be brochures For your interior protection products, there are some great demos of fake spilled coffee or fake spilled wine, and they always engender conversations. And salespeople should be happy to have conversations. They need to be equipped with stories, though. It's not up to the salesperson to quote a payment or a price. They should never, ever do that. Because again, you want to talk payments. And at the point that the salesperson is with that customer, they don't know what the payment may be. But they have great stories. Oh, yeah, our customer just recently purchased the engine warranty on this, and it made all the difference. They were out, and for whatever reason, they had a failure, and they were rescued. The repair was made. They were on their way, nothing out of their pocket, and their lifestyle experience continued. Know the stories. Make sure your salespeople know the stories. When they're asked, so how much is it? I'm sorry, Mr. Customer, I just don't have those rate sheets, but I'll make sure that our business manager goes over all of this with you. Train everyone on 100% turnover. There is no excuse for anything less. You never take a check or cash on the sales floor. I don't care if the customer pulls out a stack of $100 bills. Every customer has to see your finance manager, business manager, delivery coordinator. And the easiest way to ensure that that happens is before the customer starts to shop the units, before your salesperson invests all that time, do a quick introduction. Mr. Customer, this is Bob. He's our delivery coordinator. Once we've picked the unit that you've fallen in love with, he's going to be going over all the details of the delivery. Now the customer knows that there's going to be a handoff at the conclusion of the shopping process. And then the finance person will always offer the opportunity to finance to cash buyers. Gee, Mr. Customer, if you're paying cash, you must have great credit. Wouldn't you at least like to see what your options are and maybe preserve some of that cash to have a little more fun when you're out on the road? And then they go through all of the relevant protective products every single time. Finally, your finance managers practice two areas that we talk about all the time. First is the Hippocratic Oath of F&I. First, do no harm. No matter what, if reserve has to be dropped to zero, if there's no profit on protective products, but it gets the unit out the door, that's what'll have to happen. That being said, that leads to the second element in the F&I process. Based around the fact that you never get more than what you ask for the first time, your finance folks have to develop a posture that I call aggressive, but graceful, and retreat. So what does that mean? Maximize the reserve, maximize the potential profit on your protective products. Train your finance folks that when they hear that sharp intake of breath or but I can get that for 5.9%. Mr. Customer, this was just our first call. Let me see what I can do for you. Now, the important thing about that is that they can't just drop price at that point. Otherwise, it looks shady. It looks like a scam. So, maybe this protective, maybe this interior exterior protection is more than what you need right now. So our payment is going to be, and the other aspect of this is that they're always quoting payments. Congratulations, Mr. Customer, you've been approved. Your payment is going to be $399 a month for 180 months, and that includes your engine warranty, your accessory protection, interior exterior protection, and gap. Now the customer knows what they're getting. There's nothing devious, nothing deceptive, but you've taken your best shot. And then finally, every customer, having been presented with protective products, signs the optional protective product disclosure. This is simply the form that says, I've been presented with these products. Here are the ones that I've accepted, and here are the ones that I've declined. Now, that not only reinforces and presents another opportunity to sell those products, but it protects you. Imagine the customer who wasn't presented with a warranty product talks to his neighbor who also shopped from you, who did get that option, and then the customer has a breakdown, something that would have been covered by a warranty or a protective product. That's going to be your expense, not that customer's. Again, Terry Shabesta is the man who created Get Pre-Qualified and Shop by Payment, and he's talking a little about some of that here.
And we see that in the industry, and I'll give you a personal example of that exact scenario. So as a leasing company, which we are, which is how we developed all this software, we actually built it for ourselves first, but we would all the time get customers excited on a particular vehicle they wanted to buy. Give you an example, Corvette. Guy would do all the research and looking around, found the perfect vet and was like all excited. And then when he would apply, couldn't get him done, couldn't get him approved. And right to your point, he should have been looking probably at a Camaro, not a Corvette. But he was all in on the Corvette. So setting that expectation up front is absolutely critical, because once we couldn't approve him for the Corvette, we lost him. He went on and because he was embarrassed or whatever, right? Mad, embarrassed, whatever the reason was, but we weren't going to get that deal. So he went on and bought, I don't know what he got. I'm sure he didn't get the Corvette, but that's the reason it's absolutely imperative to make sure we're setting that exact expectation. And with the shop by payment technology that you referenced earlier, that's what brings it all together, right? Most consumers, most shoppers these days are looking at, what can I buy for my budget? Okay, that's the most important question. Yeah, you get those that are on a particular unit or whatever, but in most cases, it's, look, I either want to buy a boat or a motorcycle or a car or an RV, and I know what my budget is and what I can spend, and I want to know everything I can buy. Oh, and I need, certain, I want an SUV, or I want this or that, I need bunk beds or this, whatever it is. You want to be able to say, okay, well, this is what you want. Now we're going to take those preferences, your what you want to spend a month, what type of vehicle, and we're going to take your credit under a soft pull. So we're not going to affect your credit score. And we're going to take all the inventory that matches that criteria and all of the finance programs, lease programs, everything that would be available that matches your credit. And we're going to turn all that together and instantly spit out a list of inventory that meets that criteria. That is what really sets that customer up for success and a great experience at the dealership level.
So what do we take away from all of this? Well, first of all, that well-defined process that starts early, sets the customer up for success, follows a replicable, trainable pattern, makes measurements easy and management easy. That picture on the right, that's not a process. That's not the way F&I needs to be presented and sold, and that won't get you to your targets. But with this process, start early, deliver delight, set the customer up for success, Talk payments all the time. Salespeople tee up the protective products with great stories. 100% turnover. The Hippocratic oath of F&I while being aggressive and graceful in retreat. That's what sets you up for F&I success. You let the customer know. You make the experience easy. You make finance the focus. Every customer gets the same experience. You sell without risk. You maximize profit with a strategy. And then you can highlight what that customer may be missing. This is the F&I process that leads to the F&I profits that you're looking for. So goals set the directions, processes make them real. The goals are smart, simple, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. The F&I process is comprehensive, it's consistent, and it's complete. Process is what makes your F&I success happen. Thank you so much for your time today. Any questions or comments, please contact me anytime. Merle Shaw, Dealer Profit Services. It's just Merle at dealerprofit.com. And our phone number is 470-326-0966. Here's to your F&I success and your F&I profit, making your bottom line truly exciting. Thank you again.